Hello and welcome to another episode of Secrets and Mysteries. This is episode 21, the CIA declassified document called The Adam and Eve Story by Chan Thomas. It's spelled C-H-A-N Thomas. This is my deep reveal of that document and the coverage of it so far. The Adam and Eve Story is a book that the CIA had classified, which is another way of saying banned for public release, in 1966, shortly after its initial publication. Now, this book covers a series of theories and a series of events that can be labeled as the cyclical destruction of life on Earth, or cyclical cataclysm is the word or terminology used. I'm going to heavily paraphrase the cataclysm mechanisms, and I'm just going to generally describe them, because you can download the document yourself and read it for yourself. I'm going to provide a link for that. Plus, I'm going to provide two links for people who I think did a great job explaining this entire document and the science around it. So, I don't want to duplicate their efforts. There's no sense in doing that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get into a few things that the other video authors really didn't get that far into, and then a few things that they haven't yet seen or missed entirely. The 57-page document looks like it's been excerpted from more than 200 pages originally, including 4 pages in the beginning of the document that don't look like they actually came from the original document. They look like they came from some kind of an entertainment magazine or a news magazine of some kind. Yet there might be some sort of clues in there, given that this is the CIA. To be honest, I have not scrubbed these pages yet. I'm going to do that later and possibly put a part 2 to this video out. As you can see, this is the contents page, which comes a few pages after those 4 pages of information that don't really seem to fit this book. The topics here range from the next cataclysm to the Great Floods, the story, and other things. We're going to get into those various topic matters, or at least a few of them. We're going to do that right now. This book, The Adam and Eve Story, released by the CIA in part by Chan Thomas, credits pole shift as the mechanism by which cyclical cataclysm takes place. And I already released a video to that effect that I agree with that, basically. That I think that global climate change is being caused, at least initially, by pole shift. And what is causing pole shift is anybody's guess. However, I think I found a clue here, and I'll get to that in a minute. So basically, pole shift is supposed to lead to an ice age or a mini ice age, and there's a lot of evidence to that effect in terms of we've had several ice ages. That's something that most scientists already agree upon. What they don't agree upon is timing and causes and the overall effect on the environment, and whether or not it was actually a global catastrophe or more localized into certain regions. None of these things have been settled upon yet. Where there seems to be more consensus is that prior to the ice age, the polar reversal would cause potentially geomagnetic and geological activity. And that would cause things like crazy weather, lots of volcanoes, more earthquakes, landslides, sinkholes, possibly mass animal die-offs, and things like strange atmospheric sounds or sonic booms being heard by people in diverse places. Oddly enough, all of those things are occurring. All of those things are on the uptick since 2008 by several thousand%. And right now we know for a fact that the poles are reversing. And they are doing so at an alarming rate. Right now the North Pole is moving at over 2 kilometers per day towards the south. And the south is maybe slightly less than 1 kilometer moving north per day. But both of them are accelerating. And just as a fun fact, they're both doing it on the same side of the Earth. So these two magnetic anomalies that protect our planet are moving along the same axis toward one another on the same side of the Earth. One of the things that theoretically pole shift can cause is the expanding of the Earth's crust as the molten core of the Earth moves underneath it and kind of shoulders its way through portions of the Earth's crust and causes it to either expand or contract accordingly. That's why rivers like this French one all over the world are starting to disappear. This is a very new phenomenon. This just started happening in 2018 to any extent that I'm aware of, and I've been tracking this sort of thing for 10 years. So this is a new phenomenon, and it is happening all over the world. Not just rivers, but streams and lakes and ponds and so forth. Possibly even the Dead Sea. So this is something to look out for, and this is another indicator that possibly pole shift is having some effect on the condition of the Earth's surface. The fact that this book had become classified or partially banned by the CIA shortly after its publication in 1966, only to be later released through Freedom of Information Act in 2013, is strange. Because it doesn't really discuss anything that science hasn't been openly talking about. However, it does really lean heavily on the idea that pole shift is the reason for these cataclysmic events that seem to recur over time. But even that's not really strange. I mean, not really. People have known that pole shift has occurred. To attribute that to cataclysmic events or severe weather changes or both, not really that incredible, right? I mean, that's something that could occur. It might be scary if that's happening right now. I can see why, if the CIA was aware of that fact in the 1966, by that fact I mean that the poles were shifting and accelerating, and they extrapolated out the time to realize that fairly soon there would be full pole reversal, and all of that comes with it, all the catastrophe and calamity that comes with it. I could see where the CIA might think that keeping that under wraps for a period of time would be a good idea so that people wouldn't go into panic mode. However, is there something more to the story than meets the eye? The author's name is a problem, in a sense. It's a few problems. One, this person doesn't actually seem to exist. That's one problem. Two, if he does exist, this name of his is a pseudonym, and we don't know who the actual author is. Three, and much more importantly, is the meanings of this guy's name. Chan is the Sanskrit meaning for shining, and Thomas is the Aramaic name for twin. Shining twin. Why would that be important in a document that talks about cataclysm caused by pole shift? Let's take a look at that. If we were looking for some kind of shining twin that could cause pole reversal, which then in turn would cause certainly global warming, which would be followed by a global ice age, earthquakes and volcanoes and red tides and mass animal die-offs and sinkholes and landslides and strange sounds heard all over the world and rivers disappearing. If we were looking for some kind of twin that was shining, where might we find one? And if this is a cyclical event, might it be that people before us would have been looking for the cause as well? Maybe they saw it. Maybe they etched it in stone. Why would someone take the time to draw one moon and two suns in the same sky? Another good question. Might it be that the Earth, like many stars, lives in a solar system that has a binary star system? What's a binary star system? Well, that's a system where your sun, your star, would have a shining twin, which would be called a star also. And in many cases, the lesser star has a larger elliptical orbit, which means it doesn't come around that often. You know, it takes longer to come around and make itself well known to us because it's smaller and therefore to kind of keep the math between the two masses of the stars equal in terms of rotation, it necessarily has to have a much larger orbit. Now, a small sun is still a pretty large object, obviously, but some suns are really difficult to see on top of the fact because they are emitting a largely infrared or possibly other spectrums of light, band of light radiation. And whether or not you know this, your eyes cannot see into the infrared spectrum. So if there's an object in the sky that mostly emitted infrared light, you probably couldn't see it. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have a huge amount of mass, and that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a whole lot of electromagnetic energy, and that doesn't mean certainly that if it does come by that it would not have some major effect on the planets and other objects near it as it closed in near to them on its cyclical revolutionary trip back towards the Earth. The idea that we've had a binary star, which is a scientific term, has been around for a long time. NIBIRU is a Sumerian term for the same concept. Planet X is sort of a pop culture reference to the same kind of an idea. Nemesis is a pop culture and scientific reference towards the idea of the name given to our own binary star, and wormwood is the name that you would find the Bible giving it in Revelations chapter 8, verse 11. So let's do a quick recap. The CIA releases a book, in part, that was banned shortly after it was written in 1965, bans it in 1966, and partially releases some of it through the Freedom of Information Act in 2013, right around the time that a lot of the events that would be caused by pole shift start to become more and more mainstream news and start to get talked about in places like YouTube, among others. Along with that, the author, who doesn't seem to really exist, has a name that in Sanskrit and Aramaic, which are the two places where this event was recorded in stone before, has a name that means shining twin. And when you read the Adam and Eve story by, you could say shining twin. So the Adam and Eve story, the biblical story, happens by the shining twin, which is, of course, the binary star. And you have also given the fact that the CIA has banned this book, whose 200 other pages are unknown to us until the 1993 republishing of the book, supposedly as a paperback. Although I did find a copy that supposedly was printed in 1971 on Amazon listed as a hardcover. Again, no copies on hand. And you can also get this as a Kindle. Again, you'll get this as a Kindle, but, is it really the exact same unredacted, unedited, unchanged copy from 1966? Was there even really a copy from 1966, since no existing copies can be found anywhere, and believe me, I looked? Or is this a way of telling the American public, hey, something's going to happen, and people like me are going to find this information, and we're going to analyze it, and we're going to slowly bring it out to the masses and give them a chance in a slow, drip out type information, sort of a reversing of MK Ultra mind washing, to tell people, yeah, something's happening, and you may want to start to take a look at it. And maybe they're trying to condition you to accept the fact that some shit is about to go down. This is truly one of those mysteries that as you peel it back, it just gets a little bit more secretive and a little bit less clear. However, what is clear is that the poles are shifting. Something cataclysmic is happening to our weather. Volcanoes, earthquakes, sinkholes, and all of those things I mentioned before that could be caused by the approach of a large dwarf star are definitely all happening. And the behavior of our own government and other governments lately could be explained by the approach of something like this that was going to be a game changer.